All right. So today, another episode of Real Estate Rockstars with Rick. And today I'm with Rockstar Sarah Rodriguez. I've known Sarah through NAHREP. We met several years back. Shoot, probably a decade back, right?
Yeah, at least.
You still look the same. I've aged dramatically.
Para nada.
But, it's been so impressive because back then, I feel like you and I were both young in our careers, young in the industry in terms of our professional development. And then fast forward, man, you've blown up, taken off, done some incredible things within your career. And it's incredibly impressive, all that you've done. And definitely want to take this time in this call to kind of talk about it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Yes, I remember, sitting, I think we were all so exhausted after all the sessions and everything that we had learned. And we were just sitting there kind of seeing, I'm from DC, Virginia, you're in Atlanta, and we were trying to figure out, what are you doing in your business? And what am I doing in my business? And trying to see how we could mastermind with each other. And look at us now. We're both in very different places. And I think much better and bigger platforms that we're playing at.
And for those that are kind of listening and watching, when we first met, it was through the organization NAHREP. And for those that don't know, NAHREP is the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, one of the largest trade organizations in the country. And we were both involved. I mean, I'm not sure why you were. I mean, I know I was involved. You can share why you were involved. But for me, I grew up in Houston. I grew up in a predominantly Hispanic market, moved to Atlanta, wanted to network with other Hispanic real estate professionals. So, it wasn't even just that. It was like when I attended my first NAHREP event, it was like, arms came around and hugged me and just kind of welcomed and embraced me in. And then at the local level, Helen Archer at Esther Palacios, it was just a lot of support and mentoring. And then they said, come to the national event, meet some leaders across the nation. And that's when the opportunity of meeting you, as well as some of the other incredible leaders that we have within our organization. So I like to think that because of NAHREP, it provided me the cheat code to kind of fast forward my success.
100%. And that's something that I say. I think sometimes realtors or real estate professionals leave something on the table when they don't go to these trade organizations or these realtor events, because, when we met, I was an employee at a title company. So I'm an attorney. I used to be an immigration attorney for many years. And when I moved to DC, I realized that a lot of my Spanish-speaking clients didn't understand all of the paperwork for the mortgage and the closing that they were signing. And when I started being I had already done closings in Spanish and done that to be able to help pay. But I was like, okay, well, there's a lot of Spanish-speaking immigration attorneys, but there's very few Spanish-speaking real estate attorneys. But like you said, it's a very kind of it's the title industry is very small, it's very competitive, and not everybody wants to open their arms and really bring you in, welcome you, and be invested in your success. So I think that's what we found in NAHREP was una familia who were invested in our success, not only with masterminding and brainstorming, but allowing us the connections of people that are, constantly helping us to be better at what we do.
And you hit on the point, because it's almost like, and maybe it's not like this in every market, but sometimes my early perspective looking back is a lot of times people that I met outside of NAHREP, just people I met in the industry, they could really care less about my success. And nothing personal. It's not like they were plotting to see me fail, but it's just different. They just, joining an organization like NAHREP, being amongst people like yourself that want to thrive and want to grow, it was also an organization where people wanted to see you do well. And I remember a lot of my closest friends to this day, and then including yourself, are people that I met over the years that I've been cheering on, and I've been rooting for you and rooting for them, and vice versa. They root for you. And that's just not existed in our industry outside of this organization, I found.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's why I tell every realtor when I travel across the country now, which I never thought would happen, 10, 15 years ago. I always tell people it doesn't have to be NAHREP. I like NAHREP. I feel like it's very welcoming and they go above and beyond to make sure that I feel part of the family. But find an organization where you feel welcomed and you feel like people are invested in your success, and then go all in, because we make ourselves better when we are brainstorming and surrounding ourselves with other real estate professionals that want to see this industry do well, that we're taking a very thoughtful approach as to what legislations are coming down or anything that's coming down the pipelines. And we can talk about it and say, what are the unintended consequences? Where do we need to stand together so that the right narrative is being told? So whether it's NAHREP or another trade organization, I think those are game changer for real estate professionals, and they should absolutely be part of them. Enjoy them. Go learn, go connect with other people from across the country, because it's definitely going to be better for your career.
So you mentioned that you started off as an immigration attorney, came into closing attorney now. So let's talk about your business today. So today, are you still an employee?
No, I own my own title company. We're 6 years old, and in those 6 years, I am now in 5 states.
Wow. Now, that wasn't easy to accomplish. And you said 6 years old. Even that first year, it's scary. And as an entrepreneur, we're all wired different. But as an entrepreneur starting something new for the first time, there's a lot that you don't know. Do you feel that being a part of an organization like NAHREP, or being part of any organization, when you're looking to transition and be an entrepreneur and open your own business and have that support, where does that being a part of an organization like NAHREP help you in that transition?
That's a great question. And I absolutely have always said that that's the reason why. So, I always say that you get to where you get, and it either takes time or money, right? So you can learn.
There's always a cost.
There's always a cost. So you can learn because you're putting in the time, looking at systems, what it learns, or you spend money to be around people who are going to shorten that educational curve for you and kind of give you a blueprint. So through NAHREP, I was able to connect with a lot of high achiever entrepreneurs who made me start thinking about business and the world a little bit different. As a Latina, I came up with this idea that I just, I worked really hard to go to college, and then I worked even harder to go to law school, and then go ahead and get my law degree. So I was excited when I had a job, right? 9 to 5, I had my little salario. And then I started surrounding myself around entrepreneurs with NAHREP that started making me think about how can I work more efficiently and think bigger, not only for my family to start creating generational wealth, but for my employees or for the people that I can impact around me. I started shifting my mindset and started thinking differently about the world. Every decision that I made, whether it was with my organization or the different entities that I'm opening, or even my kids or my household, like how am I spending my money? Am I investing? Am I buying other properties? Like I started shifting my mindset by the people that I was surrounding myself with. They're, like you said, they're not only invested in your success and cheering you on, but Rick, more importantly, they're willing to sit with you and say, okay, I tried this and this and this, and this is what I learned, and this is what you should do. That costs so much time, tears,
and money
from my learning curve. Not that it's always been easy. Obviously, 6 years ago, I started my own company right before my oldest was going to go to college, and then COVID hit. And it was, a really hard time. Not only that,
tough time to start a company.
Yeah, not only that, but a lot of the times, some people will say, well, you're so lucky, Sarah, because, right after COVID, the market was really, really hot. But think about it. You're a small startup and the market all of a sudden gets really hot. A lot of companies wouldn't have survived because you're kind of like drinking from the hose where all this business is coming in and you don't have all the systems or all the people or all the support to be able to, go up with your business. So I had to learn a lot of lessons really fast. And I was able to not only survive, but thrive because of the people that I, connect with and that I brainstorm with.
No, what you said is such a valuable lesson that I hope people watching this listen to, but really digest. And what I mean by that is that component of I want to take my business to the next level. But there are challenges and there are fears. And I don't know what those challenges or fears are going to be until I jump into the deep end and approach this. But then when I come across these challenges, I come across these hurdles and obstacles, how am I going to get over them? And I can figure it out, and it may take time, or I can have mentors or be in a group where there's people who have already done it that I can call up and be like, Sarah, I just started here's the first mistake I had. And you're like, oh, that's it? Let me tell you, and you've already experienced it. So I can you're able to lean on the experience of the people in the group that have done it prior before you.
Absolutely. I mean, I think as a young entrepreneur, a lot of people don't realize that the first thing that you need to do to be successful and invest in your dream team. When you're a startup, you want to be small and gritty, and you want to no, I don't have the money. I have to invest it in getting more business. And then you're setting yourself up for a failure. So one of the best lessons that I had was when you start your own business, even if at the beginning you have no money, you invest in your dream team. Who's your dream team? You have to have a CPA. You have to have a financial planner. You have to have all these people who are around you who are going to be looking at the different areas of your business to make sure that you are, growing in a sustainable and strong way so that you can support the infrastructure so that your business can flourish. It's not just about getting leads. It's about how do you close them? What do you do with your money? I know so many people who did so well through COVID and now are broke because they didn't really track their expenses. They didn't know how much money was coming in. They didn't know how much money was coming out. And if you want to build a good business, you have to be tracking. I mean, it's not sexy, but it's all about the P&L, right?
It's not sexy, but it's definitely terrible when all you have to tell.
Yeah.
So looking back, if you had to do it all over again, is there something that you've learned in this process that you would give advice to somebody that had to start over? It was you 6 years ago.
Start now. I am typical attorney, very type A. I want to be able to control every variable that I can. And a lot of people kept saying, you can do it, go, 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 go. And I didn't, because I wanted to control everything and make sure that, that I was going to be as successful as I could be. If I could do anything again, would be just to start a lot sooner. It makes me realize how many of us are playing small because we're so afraid. And, it doesn't matter. You're never going to be ready. So just start, go for it, give it your best, ask questions, learn from those around you. I've always been the type of person that I ask a lot of questions, but I don't necessarily take opinions of people that I don't want to be where they are, right? Because, I always say opinions are like belly buttons. Everybody has one, but they're not necessarily good for you. So ask the questions and see how people are doing things. But at the same time, who do you admire in a certain area? What are they doing that you would like to do the same or even better? And then ask how they got there. Who helped them? What books did they read? How do they systemize it to be able to make sure that things are being done consistently? But my biggest thing is do it now. So many people are just waiting for the perfect moment, and the perfect moment will never come. You have to create it.
So on that note, I think it's a nice transition to a story I want to share. So for those that don't know, Sarah, you've started an organization, worked your way up to president of the organization nationally. And I remember when you were president, you were phenomenal as a speaker, but you weren't like that in the beginning, right? At the time. I remember as president, I was like, wow, she got so good at speaking. She got so good at giving a message and delivering a message and telling a story. And I remember there was a message that you said, and I'm sure all the presidents said it before you, but just the way that you delivered it, it really lit the fire, it started the fire in me. That message was, and I don't remember exactly how you delivered it, but I remember what my takeaway was. And that message was, you went on stage and you said, my goal is I am going to make 7 figures. And it may not have been 7 figures. I remember exactly what it was you said. But we'll just say you said 7 figures. So I'm sitting there thinking wow, she just put that out there in front of 3,000 people in this room that her goal is to make 7 figures. And like, that's my goal too, but like, I'm too afraid to even say it out loud in private. But when you went up there and did that in front of the room, like nobody called you out and said she's full of shit. People like stood up and applauded because they're like, yeah, like we should be putting our goals out there. We should be supporting each other to hit our goals. So then from there, I'm like, I'm not going to be afraid to say my goals out loud. And if people laugh, I don't want to be in the room with them anyways.
Exactly. There's a saying that says that nobody who's out there with you fighting the fight is ever going to criticize you, right? It's those that are in the bleachers sitting. The players are not criticizing you. It's those in the bleachers. And what I said is the way that I was raised in my type of community, wealth is seen as something that, oh, you're being greedy if you talk about money, or you're being greedy if you want money. And it took me a long time to start thinking again, shifting my mindset that what I want is financial success, not because I want to buy, the latest purse or the shoes, even though I like all those, but because I want financial freedom for me and my family. I want the fact that if someone from my family needs cancer treatment, I can afford it and it doesn't bankrupt me. If I want to be able to, stop working for a few weeks so that I can go and spend it with my parents, that I can afford to. That if my kids get into a school that is, the school that they want to, that I can afford to give them that. Once I started shifting the mentality that money is not necessarily about greed, but about giving you the freedom to live life on your terms, my whole mindset shifted, because then it's not about me just making 7 figures for Sarah. It's about, think about how many people we can impact if we all started thinking like that. Like, how can not only I, but the people around me start thinking of, my employees are, how we know when they come in and they're 20 something receptionists start thinking about buying their first home, then house hacking and buying their second home and starting investing and starting creating this incredible generational wealth that gives them the freedom that they want. So I think it's a powerful message for all of us. A lot of the times, if you are an entrepreneur, it's because you are looking for that next level of success and that next level of freedom. And being able to be, centered as to what your goals are and the why of your goals, I think is super important.
And to kind of echo on that, because I know that is a big passion of yours. And I know one of the other things you do in that category is that you started a book club. And in your book club, the majority of books are about, people building aspects of their life, being a better person, being a better parent, being a better human, being a better professional. Like, you have this book club of all these different books to help people improve their lives. And that just, I think, adds a layer to what you just said. It's more evident that you're not just speaking it, you're doing it.
Well, Rick, this is why I think you and I have always gotten along so well, is because we are truly authentic about being a connector and giving value. I can be very successful and still put out there to try to bring values to those around me. So you are right. As part of my business at Titan Title, we do book clubs, we do free virtual masterminds, we do classes, we do educational videos for the community. It's all about putting the value out there, and it doesn't matter what it is, because I know the more value I give people, those around me are going to go up, and then we all go up together. You and I have always been like that, where we're just like, providing value to others because nos llena, right? Like, that makes me happy at the end of the day, where I see someone that maybe you had a conversation with them, maybe you had them think about life a little bit different, and then they went off to do something really big and impacted others around it. Oh, I can't hear you now. I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Disconnect.
There you go.
Is that better? You can hear me now?
Yep. Oh, now you muted yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Awesome. I get a phone call on my phone. All of a sudden, I use a MacBook. All of a sudden, everything shuts off. So I just put my phone on airplane mode. It happened again. So we were talking about bringing value, right? We're talking about bringing value, and you talked about a few ways that you bring value to your partners. Let's go down that path a little deeper. So, as a real estate attorney, your referral partners are realtors, right?
Yeah.
And then lenders and in the seasons of low rates, and you get refis. So you bring value to your realtor partners by, I'm sure you educate them on building wealth. That's something that you're passionate about, and you're very good about that. You bring value by creating situations where you're sticky with the realtor in the sense of, as a loan officer, we can call realtor partners and say, I want to bring you value by making you a flyer for this listing, right? Well, making that flyer of the listing, the season for that is short. When that listing is sold, the flyer is no longer needed.
Yeah.
So how do we extend that season of providing value? And, one of the things you do is a book club, right? Where you talk to your realtors, or not even just your realtors, you open it up to everybody. But by opening up to everybody, that even shows more so that you're doing it to bring value, not just doing it to capture business.
So we do a lot. My belief is that we empower through education. And we take that through to our lender partners, our realtor partners, or even the community. So everything that Titan Title puts out is, are you empowering through education? Are you empowering the person that you are providing value to? We do agent virtual masterminds where I bring people from across the country and we talk about different things, and it's open to anybody, whether you're in one of our states or not, it doesn't matter. We want to be able to talk about what's really going on out there. How are you getting leads? What type of CRMs are you using? So again, to get somewhere, it's going to cost you time or money. So in this case, what I'm trying to provide is pay it forward. All the great brainstorming and information that NAHREP did for me, I'm trying to provide it to all those people around it. So not only am I trying to connect them, because you never know who can connect, where you can brainstorm or even refer business to. We do virtual masterminds. I do CE classes in my offices every month. We talk about contracts, negotiating skills, lead generation, social media, how to do scripts, anything that you can think of that educates and empowers, again, realtors, loan officers, and consumers. In fact, right now, Rick, I'm having a lot of phone calls from a lot of realtors that their clients are very worried about what happens to their properties if they get deported or they leave the US and can't re-enter. So I'm doing videos in my YouTube channel to address the different things for the consumers on what they need to do with their house, what they need to do with their kids, what they need to do with all those things. So it's not necessarily, it is providing value to my realtors, but in a different way, because I'm trying to support them and the community.
No, and I love that. And I think, man, this is probably we should spend a lot of time on the call is ways to provide value, because I think people struggle and they think that to provide value is got to be a big thing. Providing value can be as little as, like you said, making a video and putting a YouTube channel and educating. And a lot of times, like that little thing is the big thing, because that content is not out there. That little thing is even a bigger thing when there's a need for it. But you don't know if there's a need unless you do it. And I had no idea the YouTube channel. Had I known, I would have like studied it before the call and asked you questions on a few videos. So let's definitely send me the link for your YouTube channel, because I want to put the link in this article that I submit. I want to make sure that people can see you on YouTube and see the value you bring. So
thank you.
For the majority of
just real quick. So you are so right. Like, I think as humans, a lot of the time we forget that value can be in picking up the phone and saying, oh my God, my realtors will call me Saturday, Sunday, whenever, and be like, Sarah, I know this, but I'm having a moment. Can I just, walk you through it so that you can help me? I think we all forget that we're humans at the end of the day. And sometimes providing value is like me calling you and being like, hey, Rick, how are you doing? Okay, I'm doing something different with HWP, and I want to hear your thoughts. Like, help me out. Doesn't mean that I'm not a high achiever, high producer, but sometimes you kind of need like that warmth of knowing someone you trust and someone that inspires you to be like, hey, be my sounding board. Tell me what's going on here so that I can then go out and perform at a higher level.
I can tell you one of the values that you've brought in me, I probably never told you this, or maybe I have in the past, but one of the values that I've learned from you, it's something you've told me, it's how you carry yourself. Because in our industry, especially if you want to be a better professional, you have to carry yourself like a professional. And when I see you, the way you dress, the way you present, you present as a professional. You dress very nice. When you speak and you talk at an event, you're prepared. You have your notes. You're not stuttering. You're not figuring on the spot. Like, I don't know what your preparation looks like, but I can see from all the times I've seen you speak and I've seen you interact with others is that you do it at a high professional level. So now, as I'm transitioning in my business and I'm starting to originate more, I'm calling realtors up and I'm acting as a professional. Hey, working with me, here's what it looks like. I have a process. I am going to talk to the borrower. We are going to have an intake call. And I go through the steps, which every realtor I talk to is like, wow, no lender has ever done this before. Because the majority in our industry we're not taught to conduct our business in a professional manner. We're just told, go out and get business.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think it's so funny when I do my trainings for realtors, especially now with the whole commission lawsuit thing change, I would tell people, I'm like, imagine you go out to somebody and you have two very nice, charming people. And you go and you give your value proposition. Well, I'm Sarah and I'm nice. You should use me because I'm nice. Okay. Well, Anita is also very nice. But imagine if you could be there, like, I'm Sarah. Not only am I, this is my value proposition. I have a system. This is how I'm going to follow up. This is how I'm going to solve your pain problems. This is how I'm going to support you, not only in your current business, but to allow you the flexibility so you don't have to worry, so you can go out and get more business. And I'm nice. That's a winning deal right there. But let me tell you something, Rick. I wasn't born like this. If you met me many, many years ago, and I remember people when they first met me at NAHREP and they saw my first time I ever spoke in public in front of 400 people, I started crying. I couldn't speak Spanish or English. I couldn't remember my name. I ran to the bathroom and didn't want to come out because I was terrified of speaking in public. But being surrounded by people who wanted me at my best, they kept pushing me in uncomfortable situations so that I had to adapt and become flexible and learn how to play at high levels, whether it's on stage or in front of agents or making those phone calls. It is hard. I still make cold calls to realtors to give them what to introduce them to Titan Title. And I think what makes you good, Rick, and what makes the top producers, the top 2%, is that they listen to the realtor and provide them something that not everybody else is doing.
But to echo that, I think also what it is they constantly make the phone calls. So they're not, but like you said, when you first started, and I'm saying with me, right? Like I couldn't, both of us started at the same time. I don't think either one of us could speak. I was in the boys' bathroom crying and vomiting, you in the girls' bathroom. but through being put in constantly as leaders in the organization, constantly being put in positions we had to speak and we had to stay in front of, like just little by little, we got a little bit better. And then we got a little bit better and a little bit better. And over 12 years, we started to level up. And we started to level up and level up. Now, like us going on a stage and speaking, like if I said, Sarah, I need you to go speak tomorrow on this topic, you'd be like, cool, I've done it before. Like it's not the first time. And you'll go up and you'll probably crush it because you've done it so many times over and over and over. So I imagine that when you're cold calling these realtors, like you come off, not only you are professional, but you've done those calls so many times that there's really not anything that the realtor can say or do that's going to put you out, that's going to make you deviate or make you uncomfortable, because you've already been uncomfortable for so long. And you've learned that, like, you've had so many of those conversations, hundreds of thousands probably. There's nothing that you're going to get from one phone call that you've never experienced before. So therefore, you're so great at it.
Well, I don't know if people surprise me all the time. So I don't know if I'm going to get something that I don't know. But as I train my sales team, I make calls with them and I tell them a couple of things. Number one, be comfortable with being uncomfortable because that's how you get great, right? If you are always shielding, like I know people who are like, I'm not going to do a video because I don't like how I sound. I'm like, newsflash, that's how you sound. I don't like how I look. That's how you look. Put yourself out there. People who like you are not going to care how you sound or how you look because they like you. If you're
Mhm.
giving value, that's what they're going to focus on and that's what they're going to like. That's number one. Number two, I always tell my sales team when I'm training them, I'm like, so what if somebody's rude? What's the worst thing that can happen? My dad, when I was growing up, my dad used to tell me, you already have the no, so why don't you ask? You're starting at a no. If you ask and they say no, you're back where you started. But if you ask and they said yes, imagine how far you can go. So you already have the no. Why don't you ask? What's the worst that
Yep.
can happen? Somebody hangs up on the phone on you, calls you a name. Oh, well,
Next.
exactly.
And then before you know it, you just get so good at those conversations, so good at the framework, and then people you start being an attractor because you've gotten so comfortable and you're so good at the messaging and the framework that now you're an attractor, and now you're in a different season of your business.
Yeah, I always laugh when people say, I don't want to do scripts and I don't want to role play because then I'm not
Right?
going to be authentic. And I'm like, okay, our top athletes do the same movement day in and day out. And then when you see them in the game, it's natural and it's awesome. You are teaching yourself muscle memory so that your brain and your body and your voice has 90% of it down. So then you can actually listen. Because when you've role play and done your script so many times, you're so comfortable with what you have to say that you don't have to read it, you don't have to think it, that you can then actually listen to what the other person is saying so that you can respond correctly. Most of the people that don't do scripts, don't role play, don't practice are so nervous when they're doing the call that they're missing all the cues that are around them because they're more intent in, I got to say that next when you talk, that they're not paying attention to how are they responding? What's their tone of voice? Did they make a sound? Is there something in the background? So by doing the
Reading
scripts
the
and
body language.
exactly.
I've never thought of it in that perspective, and now that you say it, like you're 100%, I totally agree. That's absolutely true. Because if you're not prepared with your script, then you are concerned about what am I going to say next. And
Yeah.
I've been in that season where what am I going to say next, and I'm not paying attention because I'm so focused on what am I going to say next so I don't sound dumb.
Yeah, I know. I always tell my kids, I'm like, are you going to listen with intent to respond or are you going to listen?
Can I
Right?
use can that be used on a spouse? I'm
Yeah.
asking for a friend.
No, not unless you want to die, friend. You know what my
So
husband tells me? He's like, do I need to charge you a copay? Listen. And I'm like, that's not nice, but it's true.
no, but that perspective that you shared can help anybody listening. Like if you're a realtor, that can help you because you can use that when you're talking to your buyers or sellers, right? You should be role playing your scripts. We're in sales, but really we're not really selling anything. We're selling ourselves. And in my perspective, the best way to sell yourself is to be prepared for the person you're speaking with. So to be in sales, to be a good salesperson, in my perspective, is to be good to listen to best help the person you're trying to serve. I'm not trying to sell them. I'm trying to serve them.
Exactly. And that's why I'm like, I'm not selling myself.
Yeah.
I want to hear what your pain problems are because I might have the best solution for your pain problems. And if that's the case, then let's work together. There's certain people where I'm like, my product, my services are not aligned with helping you the way you want to be helped. So I'm better off us not working together so that we both can be happy. Because there's nothing worse than me having, a round peg and you're square and it's just not going to fit in it. So I'm more focused on, I know because I've done my scripts, because I've done my role play, because I'm very secure in understanding and being able to verbalize what my value proposition is, then I can sit down and listen to your pain points to see if I can have a way of helping you out. If I can't, I can't. But if I can, imagine how amazing both the working relationship is going to be if what I have and what I bring to the table is what you need to level up.
You're coming in as a partner, as a resource, not as a salesperson.
Exactly.
So the majority of the people watching this call are real estate agents. For those real estate agents watching that want to improve their scripting framework, that want to improve, what advice would you give them?
Just consistency. Anything in life that you want to do is consistency. I have a lot of realtors that we work with that are like, well, I don't, I'm new, or I don't want to, I feel so uncomfortable. I don't want to hear myself, or I'm not going to do it. What I used to do at the beginning is that I used to use my phone, and I used to just talk into my phone and do my scripts, right? So that way, like if I was on the treadmill or I was driving or any other moment, I would listen to my own voice with my script. And then my subconscious would start being like, oh, you know what? I could also pitch it this way, or I could say it that way, or I could do this. And then I started getting like really creative with my script would be to give me opportunities. Just start, say it to your kids. I can't tell you how many times I've practiced my speeches with my kids. My poor kiddos, I'm like, sit there, mommy will give you ice cream, but you got to mom do her speech. And they sit there and they're eating their ice cream and listening to me do my speech, but just role play with whomever, have a friend, have your title company, have your lender, or with yourself, with your phone. Just, go ahead and sit down and think about what makes me unique. What's my value proposition?
It's funny you talk about role playing with your kids because, I don't know how your kids are, but my daughter, I feel like my harshest critic. I'll role play with her. She's like, Daddy, that's terrible. And it's like hard not to laugh, but it's easy not to get personal because you got a 6-year-old telling you that you're terrible.
You know what I do is I have boys, so boys love their mama, but I've always challenged them, right? Like I wanted to change the paradigm in my household and with my kids. So I always challenge them, and I'm like, okay, it's terrible. Why? Tell me why. And then we use the word would be better if in everything in my life, with my kids, with my office, with my employees. Okay, would be better if, tell me how it would be better. So that way it starts having them reaffirm their critical thinking. And maybe she can give you her opinion as to why she thinks it is. And it's something that could change you, right? She might not be verbalizing the right way because she is 6. But you'd be surprised how many times, like my 18-year-old came the other day and he was like, Mom, your social media, you're so old. And I'm like, I am old, buddy. And I'm like, but I want to hear your advice. Would be better if. And he was like, I think it would be better if you did a series on Sarah Explains in 30 seconds or less. People are not going to want to listen to 2 minutes, 3 minutes, an hour. They will listen to 30 seconds. So then we started like talking about how would it be better? I think a lot of the times we're so afraid of getting criticized that we're not stopping and saying, okay, take away the emotion. Let's talk about facts. What was about it that could be better? What can I do better? Now, there's times when my 18-year-old or my 11-year-old thinks something would be better. And I'm like, no, that's unprofessional, or that's not, something that goes with my brand. But then by having the opportunity to explain it to them, I'm also trying and hoping that I'm teaching them a way of looking at life differently for when they're adults.
I love it. I just took that note down. So that's a great tip. So one thing I want to ask is you do videos on social media. You told me you have a YouTube channel. I know a lot of attorneys in real estate. I don't think I've ever met one that told me they do a video on social media. I've never seen a video on social media of an attorney in real estate. What made you decide to do that, and why?
That decide to do a video on what?
What made you decide to do videos on social media and on YouTube?
Again, my whole thing is I wanted to empower my clients through education. So when I started Titan Title, I used to do Titan Title Tip Tuesdays. And regardless of what I was doing, you would see videos and they start where they're rough, like if you go 6 years ago, they were really rough and they've gotten better. But it's about, a lot of the times forgetting on like about me and it's about them. So I wanted to be able to capture the people around me and be able to provide them as much value as I could by going out there and doing it in the way that most people would be able to connect with, which is on video, because that's something that everybody has to do. Do I like looking at myself in video? No. There's so many things as a woman that I can be like, oh, my hair was doing this, my hair was doing that. But at the end of the day, I have to forget that it's not about me. It's about what I'm providing others that I can help.
That's the most important thing. And I kind of take that one clip from this video and post it everywhere. It's not about us. It's about what we're providing others, because you're so right. We all get stuck on ourselves and we all forget that the purpose is helping others.
Exactly.
So being respectful of your time, in wrapping this call up, I wanted to kind of just touch on the areas that we discussed that people that watching this video can do to help grow their business. One of them is get involved in a trade organization that they can get better in, that a trade organization where there's other people that are at the levels they want to get to that can mentor them and help them get there. Anything else about the trade organization component that you want to touch on?
Find a trade organization that not only makes you feel welcome, but that pushes you to be better. I always say, if I'm saying yes to something, I'm saying no to something else. So it better be worth it. If I'm going to a networking event, I'm saying no to something with my kids or something else that I want to, so it better be worth it. So say the same, go with intent. What value are they bringing to you and what value can you bring to them?
So that's the trade organization. Then we talked about bringing value to our realtor partners through components to stay sticky, like a book club or lunch and learns, tips through social. So for those realtors watching, like they can do all this. They just decide on what type of value you want to bring, whether it's weekly updates, daily updates, first-time homebuyer workshops. Like there's a lot of things out there. Would you say there's top 3 that you would recommend to a new realtor that comes and sees you?
For a new realtor, what I always say is script playing and role playing, and we're happy to do that with them. The next thing is systemize. You can't base what you do based on your moods. So slow down to go fast and start creating systems. If you're going to do open houses, before you do the open house, think it through. What's going to be the journey of that client that you're going to meet? Forget about everything else. Forget about social. Pick the one thing and then systemize it. So if you're doing open houses, right? If I were a new agent, I would go and try to do as many open houses as I could. And then I would sit down and I would put in my CRM before I even went to my open house. I'm going to do, an email and a drip campaign that goes to my whole sphere that says, hey, I'm going to be doing an open house in this house. Come and check out what's going on in the market. Whether you're in to look at a house or not, come and check out what's going on in the market, or come and say hi to me, or come and see how I can provide value. Then you're going to do already setting up an email for the people that you meet at the open house. And then what's going to be their drip campaign depending on what you're doing. Now, you setting that up right from the start, as soon as you go into that event, you're already going to be systemizing this so that you can go ahead and start creating it. I can't tell you how many people I know that go to an open house and I'm like, well, did you reach out back to the people? Well, no, I got really busy and then I had to turn off the lights and then I went home and then this and that. I'm like, then you're wasting your time. So sit down and systemize what can you do to take advantage of putting those people in your CRM.
Makes sense. Brilliant advice. And if I remember correctly, and I could be way off, did you say you started a website where realtors can go to for tips?
I have my Time Title Tip Tuesdays that we do on our social media. In our website, what you're going to find is all of our classes, our virtual masterminds, our book clubs. They're free. It doesn't matter what state you're in. You're always welcome to any of them. And you can reach out to us through Facebook, Instagram, if you need any help.
So for realtors that have been new in the industry, experienced in the industry, go to your website, and there's just a lot of content that can help anybody.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, man, I super appreciate your time. It's always a pleasure to get some time with you. I really just started this podcast so I could find a way to get more time to hang out with you.
You know, you have my number. You can always find me at Brainstorm.
Absolutely. Well, is there anything else you want to leave the audience with before we wrap this puppy up?
No, thank you so much, Rick. I love the value that you're bringing to other people. Thank you for having me, and I'm always available.
Well, I am going to end with one last thing is for those that see Sarah today, I could assure you 12, 13 years ago, she is not the person she is. When she said that she couldn't walk and talk and speak at the same time, I couldn't either. But through hard work, never giving up, staying consistent, putting herself in uncomfortable situations, and surrounding herself with people that are much better than her in other areas, she has become a powerhouse today. And if I imagine 10 years from now, she's going to be at another level because Sarah is just such an incredible person. And it's instilled in me, like you can achieve anything you want. Just keep working hard, stay consistent, and surround yourself with people that push you to do so.
Thank you. Those were very kind words. You know how I feel about you.
Absolutely. Well, have a great day. Go crush it. And we'll chat soon.
You too. I'll talk to you later.
Oh, and send me the links if you don't mind. Text them, email me so I can add them in.
That sounds good. I'll talk to you later.
Don't hang up yet.
Okay.